Evening, everybody. Here I am again, Uncle Fester. Our guest tonight is one of a good man. I had the pleasure of meeting back in the 1st of September. God, it seems so long ago. It is Fireman Sam, Tony O'Neill. All right, the gentleman who's from God's country. Just to give you a little bit of a background, in 2009, a woman made a claim. He was one of three men believed to fathered a child. She made a claim to the CSA, and a DNA test had to be taken to establish who the father was. Actually, Tony was one of those alleged men, and this period of getting the DNA test took over a year. Okay, and it accumulated arrears of roughly 1,600. When the DNA test come back, Tony actually was told he was the father. So Tony took full responsibility and started paying and supporting the child. Absolutely brilliant man after my heart. All right, and everything was going fine up until 2016. Although he was still trying to sort out them arrears. All right. The CSA handed their case over to the CMS, and as he would say, his life was hell after that. The shenanigans and the manipulation, allegations of factitious arrears were forward and coming at him all the time, and they pushed him into a corner. And as a fireman, one of our frontline service personnel, he shouldn't have been treated that way. As you've viewed from the stories we've had over the last couple of days, unfortunately, July this year, we lost an individual who felt alienated, discriminated by this governmental department, CMS, by their actions of fictitious arrears and accounting, which I've never seen anything like it. All right. I'm going to bring on Bully Beefcake. Plus, I've got a special guest. I'm absolutely chuffed to bits about this special guest. All right. Henry Widdas from Brees Media. Absolutely pleasure to get him on. He done an interview with Tony. And he's got questions he wants to ask as well. He done the interview when he actually gave the CMS, he actually gave them the opportunity to have their say about the interview he done with Tony, and he gave them 8 points to discuss, and they only come back with 2. All right, answered 2. So he's got questions he want to ask. So we bring Henry on. First time I've met Henry, so we're going to be interested in this one. All right. Here he is, Bully Beefcake. Bully, how are you? Hey, I love you, but
I love you too, Uncle Fester.
Bully beef and chips. I don't like that.
You don't?
Bully biscuit. Right. Should we? I tell you what, mate. I'm chuffed to bits, but yeah, we got Henry coming on. He's a professional. I hope he doesn't judge us, but we're not professionals, but Henry, how are you, bud?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Just to say, I think you are quite professional. I think you've got a really good interview technique, and there's a good rapport between you and Bully Beef. So I think, your channel's going to be skyrocketing.
Mate, that rapport, let me tell you now, I'll share some stories offline why the rapport is like it is. I tell you, mate, when you live with somebody and he's a monster, people who are watching this won't know what he's like. I'm telling you, he stitched me up plenty of times. Anyway, Henry, how did the interview go with Tony? You got some questions still?
Yeah, I've still got some questions to the CMS. I think the most important one is the fact that in documentation, which is from one of the minutes of these CMS meetings, was showing that they've got a target. I think, Bully, you'll correct me if I'm wrong. Is it something like they want 35%? 35% on the collect and pay thing, where they can get 20% off the paying parent and then 4% off the receiving parent. Have that as a target is a national outcry. So, I did ask them about it last time and they ignored it. So when I interview another TMS victim, I'm going to put that to them again and say, you didn't answer this last time. See where
Henry, I don't know about yourself, mate. I started taking this up in August, and some of the interviews I'm doing now are actually ripping my heart out because of I've just seen discrimination, alienation from the actual service provider. They at the end of the day, Tony and a lot of these people I'm talking to are clients, and they're not treating them like clients, you know.
Yeah, they're not treating them like human beings, are they? It seems like they get caught in a bureaucratic trap, and then there's nowhere they can turn, and it seems like a real nightmare for scores and scores of people. So yeah, it's definitely in the public interest, and it's brilliant that you're both raising it, and then hopefully Anna Brees' channel can carry on doing interviews, and then definitely. You never know, it might get in the mainstream media as well.
Well, I want to say that I really appreciate that Anna Brees Media has picked up on this, and this has given us a springboard to start off with, And
I tell you what,
it's really, Anna Brees, you're a beautiful lady, and thank you so much,
Anna Brees,
for doing this.
Craigie, Anna Brees, diolch yn fawr. All right, because I believe she's Welsh. I'm sure she's Welsh.
She lives in Wales, yeah, I think.
Yeah. So, and now our guest, Tony, Fireman Sam, I call him, from Pontypandy, watchkeeper, is coming up, and he's from actual Wales. So, see the tea, boy bach.
How you doing, guys?
I'm good, mate.
Evening, Tony.
Evening,
so, Tony, good to see you, but
hey, mate, right?
You still look handsome there, but let me tell you,
it's in the Welsh blood, isn't it?
Blood, isn't it? What are you joining me for? I'm going to put my hands up. I'm not going to do anything to you tonight, but all right.
Hey, it's nothing I wouldn't have seen before.
Do you want to bet? Anyway, Tony, you know Bully, and you know Henry, so right, yeah. I watched your interview with Henry, mate. All right. So Tony, yeah, how's it going, boy Bach? How is it going? What's happening? Give me an update. And wait, now before you go any further, I'm going to let Henry take the lead here because Henry's got questions to ask you as well. All right. And Henry done a brilliant interview with you, and I'm going to pick some things off that because I've got some treats. So I need to look at with you. So give us the update, boy Bach.
Give us the update. Well, nothing's really changed since the last time we spoke. The CMS still stick to their guns. They're still saying that they were in their rights to put me on a detachment of earnings order. Like I said to you before, they pick a road and they stick to it. They never deviate from it. I'm still paying 20%. Although I'm off the detachment of earnings, I'm on direct pay to them. So they're still taking that 20% cut off me every single month. The arrears are still there. They're down to about £800 at the moment, I think. I don't know exactly because they don't tell you. Other than that, nothing's changed. Other than, obviously, I've been doing interviews with Henry and you guys, so.
Yeah, okay. So, mental well-being, how are you, but are they on you? Because COVID, I've heard, right, during COVID, what I've heard now is there's a lot of discrimination, alienation coming out now because what they're doing now, they in the press is they're alleging a lot of people are not paying, a lot of people are deadbeats, and a lot of people are avoiding, and they now what I'm hearing is, and what I'm seeing actually is they're making allegations against a lot of people, but a lot of the people from CMS were transferred to the DWP Universal Credit.
That's right.
To actually take up all that, and something's going on there. We haven't got the truth going on. What's going on? But when you move a lot of people, the system will fail, and it will slow down. And what they're saying is because people are not getting payments, they're now blaming the fathers.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you
force them onto a detachment of earnings or onto a click and collect, so that they pay.
Collect and pay.
Oh, this thing, they take the money off and take 20%. Who cares what it's called? You know, look, as far as I'm concerned, it's a tax, you know, and
stealth tax, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. What they're doing is, you know, I'm paying for them to come and abuse me is what I'm doing. And I've had one correspondent from them since the whole of the COVID started.
Yeah.
And that was via telephone, them telling me that they may not even take me off the collect and pay or whatever it's called, even after the 6 months. They'll look at it then, but they will not guarantee I'll come off it. So
this
even
goes back
now,
to the thing about Tom McCormack. Do you remember? I keep going on about this, Henry, about where Tom McCormack wanted his staff to push to get a target of 35% of clients onto collect and pay and 65% of direct pay. Now, we saw a lot of complaints about this in social media. And this is factual because we saw a massive increase in complaints, people coming forward on CSA Hell and the other groups saying, I've been put on collect and pay for no reason at all. I've never missed a payment. I've always paid what I've had to pay, and now I've got thousands of pounds of arrears. And I don't know what's going on. There's hundreds of complaints like this. And I took screenshots of all this and I sent that to the Attorney General, and she's done nothing. But anyway, it's right there. Do you remember I sent a complaint to Gingerbread because they were bumping the gums about this 3.8 billion of fictitious arrears, which was they were at the oral hearings in Parliament, so they were fully aware that most of those arrears, 3.8 billion of arrears, is fictitious because they were these arrears were created through interim assessments, inflated of up to 300%. So
it's like my arrears, which went over £5,000 in total with all their charges and everything, which they deny I've ever got to, but yet all of it's fictitious.
Yeah, they're trying to cut this 3.8 billion.
Right. So, Craig, the big thing is, have you heard from any MPs?
No.
Not you, Craig. Tony.
Oh, sorry.
No, I've sent since I first got in touch with Craig. I think there's something like 8 formal letters gone in to loads of MPs and people who run Department of Work and Pensions and this, that, and the other. And I've had no replies of anybody, and they're all formal complaints, and I've not had a reply of any of them.
Okay.
Can I jump in here at that point? It's just in relation to Wayne David. Tony knows I've spoken to him directly twice now because I tried to, that's Tony's MP, the Caerphilly MP, and he bobbed me off completely first time. I think, to be honest, I think if I had to put my money out, I'd say it was a genuine mistake. He wasn't lying. And he said there was another firefighter who the previous partner had contacted him first. And then Tony mentioned that it couldn't have been because the mother of his child is from a completely different constituency. So I phoned him back, and then he said, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll go check the records again." But he did say, "Welcome, Tony, to come back again." So it might be now that he knows that sort of press attention there, it could be worth going back to him, and he'll try and do a proper job possibly this time because he knows there's going to be that spotlight on him. But
this is what bugs me about these sort of MPs and things, Henry and guys, is you've got to remember, like yourself, of the press in effect, okay, contacting them with specific issues over something has happened to the point where it's gone to the press. Now, if it was me, all right, and I might be wrong here, but if it was me and someone had approached me from a press saying, look, we've got an issue with the account based on this, and this, I'd be going back to the paperwork and double checking what I'm telling that press person before even opening my mouth.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if that's just me or not, but, you know, he spoke about a completely different account. It was nothing to do with me and handed that on. So that could have made you run with that story and effectively make me out to be a complete and utter liar when I hadn't been. Do you know what I mean? And this is what impressed me about these people. They paid an absolute fortune by us into the public purse to do something for us. And yet, you know, when they get caught down with their trousers down, it's like, you know, it is what it is. Time to come back and see me. But make no mistake, Henry, he told me there is nothing else he can do. I asked him to take it to Parliament and raise it in Parliament, and he told me no. Right? My mother was with me at the time, and he literally said, there's nothing else I can do for you. There's no point coming here. I've got 25 emails here, sat in a folder, where I was conversing with his secretary because he couldn't be bothered to respond to me. So he's only saying that now because obviously you've been in touch with him, you know? I'll go back to him and then we'll push it. But this is what people are dealing with. And it shouldn't be this hard. Your MPs are there to support you.
But they'll talk to you when they want to vote.
But Tony, but Tony, what I'm going to ask you to do is, because he's actually said that to Henry, let's go back to him. Let's do that. Yeah. All right, let's do that. And Henry, yes, you've done the interview with Henry. Henry, how did it go? The interview, mate. The questions. What? Because I've got I got some paperwork in front of me. I want to discuss as well, which I've had sent over, and to look at how try and work out how the system works and how the factitious arrears appear. So I will bring all that in. But do you want to go over the interview?
Well, yeah. I mean, Tony put various allegations in during the interview, and just being a journalist, Joanna Brees' channel is sort of like, she's a former journalist, so she tries to stick within like the ethics of journalism, which means offering a full right of reply to whoever's being criticised. And yeah, so I re-listened to the interview with Tony, wrote down 7 key points that I thought needed addressing, emailed them to Tony to check. And then he added, I think he only had 6, and he added one, which was about how they, pardon my French, but shit-stirred with his previous partner. Yeah. And, caused them a double load of grief for a number of years. Yeah. And Tony's got the letters to prove that's happened. Yeah. But yeah, so I put 6-7 points through, and yeah, they only addressed the one. Well, they disputed the amount owed in arrears. They said it was like 3,200 from memory or something. But I've not seen the paperwork, Tony. But you've got some other paperwork showing it's 5,100.
Yeah, I sent that over to Festa, so he's got that to show everyone.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, that's great. And then that was pretty much that, and they said that another important issue that I would like to raise with them again is how they deny saying that the mental health of the paying parent is not their concern. And I've raised with them previously with my interview with Craig as well, just saying that there's been suicides of people on the collect and pay scheme who are desperately trying to seek help from voluntary groups to bring the arrears down, which they're saying are false. And so yeah, they're basically denying that they would ever say that the mental health of the payer isn't their concern. When Tony, you've actually had that on the phone, you were saying that you have actually said that on your phone. That's not our concern. Our only concern is the payer living child.
They're really aggressive on the phone, because when you apply for a subject access request, all the things disappear. Now, when I finally got mine after 9 attempts of asking for it, there wasn't one telephone call in it. So I phoned them and challenged it, and they turned around to me and told me that they've never had any correspondence by phone from me. So despite the fact I've got lists of all the calls I've made and roughly what was said, it's crazy.
I'm a little bit concerned by that statement there, Henry, to be honest with you. I've done a video 2 nights ago, especially after Craig put somebody forward to me, and I've had mental health. I've had issues with mental health over the time, and I've really got into learning about the mind and the subconscious mind, and how to take people from suicidal back to normality. Just to give you an idea, Tony Robbins in America, I'm on one of his. He's like a mentor for me. And I've done a lot of work on myself over the last year and a half, and I use a lot of clarity and techniques to move the emotions. All right. And he put somebody in touch with me who just come off the line from CMS. And the guy was he actually said in the interview we done in the evening, he was contemplating suicide.
It was Lee Windsor.
Lee.
Royal Navy veteran.
And he's a Navy veteran.
Government's constituent.
But what happened then, we put that out on social media. The next day is a gentleman I've been talking to who was an ex-veteran.
It's veteran, mate.
Oh, veteran. Okay. He's a veteran, and unfortunately, his son committed suicide on the first.
That interview today, it was heartbreaking. Yeah. He was close to tears, wasn't he?
I tell you what, mate, that was so hard because it was triggering.
What I find
with me,
is that
Craig,
CMS make it out to be, or just a very rare case, but this is the norm, and people don't realise it.
Yeah, and what I'm going to share with you now is a document. And Tony, I don't know if you've seen this. Craig didn't see it. The client's charter, CMS's commitment to their clients, and you're a client, and they have actually, their commitment is to responsive. We will answer your questions and sort out any issues as quickly as we can. If you need, if yours needs change, we will change with you, and we'll use your feedback to improve our doing of things.
They can't even admit they've had a letter, never mind anything else.
Reliable. We will always tell you what is going on in your case, and if we say we're doing something, we'll do it. You will get the right information, and it will be the same information no matter who you speak to.
That never happens.
And this is the biggest one, respectful. We'll be open and honest and treat you fairly. We will explain what we are doing or why we are asking you for something. And because we respect the fact that every case is different, you can manage your own case in the way it suits you best.
What I say to that, Fester, is the fact that they need to go and train all their staff on their commitments, because none of them have got a clue what any of that is.
But Tony, this is the opening line, which has really hurted me, to be honest with you, because our commitment to you, we keep the interest of your child at the heart of everything we do. We do this working with you to provide a service that helps you easily manage your child maintenance arrangements.
I was taking 24% off any parent. Okay, so whether it's an extra 20% for me, but they're taking 4% away that would have gone to that child. Because bear in mind, I understand if the parents weren't paying, they've got to force it, then fine. But I was paying, so they've taken 4% out of that child's pocket. Because, all right, they've taken an extra 20% off me, but they've taken 4% off that child. So I was there, the commitment to the child, because that child was getting it before.
And
yeah,
that's my...
and that's been proven by bank statements, which they have said doesn't really prove that you paid,
But that's my concern, is the way they're treating people, which they've actually just turned around to Henry and one of his points and said, we take mental health and we take your mental health into consideration.
That's a load of shit. Biggest load of shit going.
Yeah, but Craig, we've just proved that. So
yeah.
So Henry, that's something I found online, and I was a little bit, and that's really what got me started even more now on this, because I've dealt with somebody and I know somebody who's took their life. So, so for them to say that to us is something unbelievable. And yeah, what was the other one you want?
I've just found the email of, I don't know if you can still see me, but I've just flipped to my email screen. So I've got the 7 points that I put to the CMS.
Yeah.
One of the important ones was, like Tony raised some issues that not particularly about his case, but just about the CMS service in general. And one was, he's alleging they're failing in its duty to promote family arrangements and to make sure that the collect and pay is a last resort, and they didn't even address that at all. And then when I put to them about Tony was having to pay more than 40% of his wages if you include a private arrangement that he also had, they just said, "Oh well, no, we've not asked for 40%." But so they've ignored the fact that I've already put in the question that he's already paying another parent, a wedge of money as well, which took it over 40%. So, just from experience of being a reporter, it was a fobbed off response. So I did go back to them and say in another email before the interview went live, "Can you answer all of the points?" And they just didn't get back to me. So I thought, I'm not going to wait again. I think it was already nearly 2 weeks after I'd done the interview with Tony before it went on. So I thought, I'm not going to get fobbed off by them.
And on the points they've given you, Henry, as well, they lied, which obviously I've got proof in, now. My issue is, obviously, I've got so many years worth of paperwork. Finding something with a single line in it that proves a point is nigh on impossible sometimes. It's taking me weeks to find this evidence. But
Tony, the good thing is, I'm going to bring the evidence on. Should we get it on and have a look at it? Because this is interesting, and I've only just seen it this evening, so please bear with me on this. Bully, your fault.
Oh, really? Right. I said this afternoon.
Anyway, right. Right, as you can see, all right, this is a letter. I tell you what, I'm going to see if I can bring it up on one big screen. Actually, it's just the same, isn't it? So, can you see this, gents? What he's saying?
So that's my annual statement there, guys, from 2019. So
this is the annual child review from 2019. This is an absolute brilliant one here, because I tell you what I've done here. This is the first page, and I just scanned it quickly myself. And Henry, I'm going to send. Is it all right to send this over to Henry? Of course it is, Tony. Yeah. Bully, send it over to Henry.
You send it. You copied in.
All right then. Right. Your payment is £301.44 monthly. Tony, this is. I don't want to go on your private one at the moment. All right. I'm just going to go off this one. So your payment is £301.44.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This payment includes any arrears you may owe. All right.
Yeah.
So 301.4. If you look down here, we have been given the information that your gross weekly income at that point was 680. All right.
Yeah.
If I took the maximum you can take, Craig, is 40%. Yeah. So if I took 40% of that wage there, I'm not a mathematician. So Henry, you may be able to get me on this one, and if you've got a calculator, or if you're good with it. But 40%
agree for a year, so yeah.
So 40% of that is 272 around.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah. So 40% is 272. All right. So why are they taking 301? Because the maximum they can take is 40%.
Yeah, because that's a weekly payment, right? Yeah, and the other's a monthly, right?
Okay.
That's fine. But when you look at the payment to my ex-wife as well,
yeah,
it actually takes me to about 46%. Okay,
right.
And this is my argument with them. Although they were taking less than 40% off me, they were taking into account the payment I was making in a private arrangement, and the most they can take from me in any maintenance calculation, and they have to take the private arrangement into account, is 40%. So what I was saying is they were taking too much off me in monthly, which was pushing me over the 40% bracket. And that was the issue that I was having, But obviously, the reason I pulled out this one is because it showed the point where they said that I hadn't been paying in 2017 and the arrears were in total over £5,000.
Oh, that's a cracker. That one.
Yeah. So if you look at the bottom of this one, so it tells you total collection of the of unpaid child maintenance is £4,463. Total unpaid collection fees to date is £697, and the enforcement charge is £50. That comes to over £5,200.
£5,000.
Yeah, so it just proves that I wasn't lying, and that they've lied because they said it was 3,200 quid. Well, that goes to show that they were wrong in the first place. So the point is, they're just giving false information out, even when, like, Henry contacted them. You know, that's their own letter for my annual statement. Yeah. And if you notice on the front page where it said this payment includes your, in that brown box or whatever it is, that grey box up at the top there.
This payment includes any arrears you may owe.
So I had that all the way through 2010 to 2016 when I was with the CSA, and I paid that monthly amount for them 6 years, which cleared my arrears, right? So when I went to the CMS, there was no arrears anyway.
Yeah.
And then 1,600 quid turned up, and then all of a sudden, look, they turned around and said, well, you haven't paid any. But that's what the annual review was telling you every year. This is what you've got to pay. It includes your arrears. They tell me what the monthly amount was. I paid it. If I hadn't paid it, the CSA were notorious for being really aggressive in their collections. That's why they were shut down. You know,
that was actually that there. What you just said there, Tony, is actually mentioned in the National Audit Office report of 2017. They were investigated because a lot of people were making complaints. I was heavily involved in getting them investigated by the National Audit Office, by the way. They were saying what the report was actually very damning, and it came out that they cannot explain where the arrears come from, and then they use harsh enforcement, which causes distress to collect these arrears.
Well, yeah, and bear in mind, I mean, I've had 4 years of hell over this.
Yeah.
But,
can I just say something? Tony.
Before you do, let me just say this, because I will forget about it.
Roger
when
that.
I started with the CMS, even with the fictitious £1,625, £29 arrears, right, I paid every single payment since, right?
Yeah.
Which is proven by a bank statement. So how did it rise to over £5,000? They can't answer me.
False accounting, my dear boy. False accounting.
But this is where I'm really getting annoyed with the fictitious arrears, because if I was to turn around to Henry and say to Henry, you owe me £5,000. Henry's first response would be, Clive, show me the evidence. Show me the breakdown. Show me the evidence. And at no time, everybody asks about these fictitious 25,000. We had somebody on here the other day, and he had his house taken off him, and they could never show evidence. This is just wrong. It's not accounting, because, as you just said, it's gone from 1,600. It's not like if you miss payments, you haven't missed payments,
and they've with every bank statement.
Exactly.
But their argument is a bank statement isn't a proof of payment. And then at one point then, they told me I must be paying it into the wrong account. So they sent me the bank account. I sent you a photograph of that.
Yeah, we got it. I'm going to bring him on.
Because there was, because I had a restraining order against this lady because she went to work and nearly caused me my job and everything else. The only way for me to get her details, because before, when I was with the CSA, I was paying directly into the CSA bank account. But afterwards, you have to pay directly, when it went to the CMS, into the person's account.
And it was Santander.
Yeah. So the point is, they sent me the bank account details, so they can't even argue that. I've kept everything. You can see how thick our folder is there. And that's just one of two.
Well, I was just going to compliment you there on your traceability and accountability, Tone, because this is where a lot of people let themselves down, because they don't take the accountability and traceability like that.
Yeah. We've got everything. This is why I don't understand why, I'm still struggling. I've been through, so many people, even solicitors, actually, we turned around to the solicitor and said to the solicitor, look, I tell you what we'll do. Tell them we will pay it under duress on the understanding we will take them to court to pull our money back because we don't owe it. And when we prove in court, we'll have our money back. And they refused the payment, right? So I followed up then with a formal complaint when they refused the payment. And I sent you a copy of that as well. You'll see that in the 2 letters.
Yeah.
And in the bottom of that, and in many complaints since, I complain in there saying, if you go right to the bottom of the first page, that one there, is this the one? No, that's the second part.
That's the second part, is it? Right.
And as you can see, right, so as you can see with these, look, there's the recorded delivery slip there. So,
yeah.
Right on the very bottom of this now, you'll see the very bottom paragraph.
Yeah. A couple of months ago,
the solicitor called you and made the offer that I would pay the £1,620 arrears outright under duress and on the understanding that you'll remove the detachment of earnings and return me to collect and pay. And but it was on the provision they'd understand, if you look at the second page, that I'd take him to court. And this was done, if you go right to the top, back to direct pay, I pursue the rest of the courts to get my money back. And they replied, no, we want our 24% too. And that's what they replied on the phone. This is in a letter. If you look at the date of that letter, I think it's some point in 2018. So, it's absolutely crazy. Now, this letter was signed for by the CMS, okay, and who state they've never had this letter. Who state they've had the following 6 letters that were signed for.
So let me just jump in here, please, because when you send them a letter, recorded delivery or not, you send them a letter,
delivery.
and it's that letter is there. It goes to that particular business unit or wherever. Yeah. And Clive, shush, man, please, give me a second, please. So. There we are. You've got that there, the proof of delivery and all of that, but that is there in their business unit. So they look at that and they go, yeah, thanks for that, dickhead, and they chuck it in your file, and that's the end of that. And it's the same with complaints when you do it that way. They will just go, yeah, cheers, dickhead, and chuck it in your file. But when you email them and you copy in your MP, you copy in all sorts of, how I roll with the emails and stuff like that. Copy loads of people in.
Yeah.
Then you have the trace that they've received it, because if like your MPs received it, because you get autoresponders straight away, and there it is. You've got them, and usually when they get emails like that, they get telephone calls from the MPs and stuff like that. So emailing is the best way to do it.
And you said that to me, since I've been emailing, and you know yourself, there's probably been 6 or 8 formal complaints gone off since I've been speaking to you that we've not had one response from. So
of course.
And this is the thing. I've got letter after letter after letter, all signed for, email after email, or with all delivery slips and read slips.
But the thing is this, Tony. The thing is with this, what this is showing is that they're ignoring it. Yeah. But we have evidence, and when we do get a public inquiry and an inquest, and then you go, well, you people were made aware of this a long time ago, and here's the email chains.
Yeah.
Then and the email threads, and there we go. You're made aware of it.
The only reason why I included this one for you guys is because this shows that their argument was that they, within their rights to put me on detachment of earnings because I hadn't paid the £1,629, which then counts £5,000, okay? But this shows they still had no right to put me on that detachment of earnings because I offered them the £1,629 upfront under duress. They could have just taken that money, right? They could have just taken that money and not put me on the detachment of earnings order. But instead, they put me on the detachment of earnings order so that they could claim the 24%. And that shows it's got nothing to do with the child, because they would have had the £1,629 in their pocket to give that child straight away. Instead, they forced me onto the detachment of earnings order to build up that 24%. That was why I included this. And again, I've got letter after letter, complaint after complaint, all still covering that point in there, which I've had no reply to any of them.
Can I just come in here, actually? It's just one of the other questions I put through to the CMS was about how Tony had put through like 30 or more letters of complaint into CMS, and then was told that they hadn't received any. And that was another one of the allegations that we put forward that they didn't even bother to address.
Yeah,
so now I've got these letters, I'm going to go, if it's okay with Tony, I'll go back to the CMS and say, look, here are some letters of complaints. Here's the proof that it was 5,100. Can you please come back with a fresh statement, because I don't think you've fully addressed the issues that we raised first time round. I think the only way is just keep chipping away and badgering them. And
I think the sad point here is, so I'm going to go back to Ian Briggs. Ian Briggs, after his son committed suicide, he only become aware of how bad the CMS were, and the factitious arrears were. All right, and he was astonished, and he spoke to somebody for 45 minutes, and they actually, as soon as he started asking questions, he started producing evidence. They shut a shop on him, and they said to him, you're not the executor of the estate, and the executor of the estate is the children, because there was no will, and we're not dealing with you. And they were dealing with the ex-wives. And
what I said to Henry in the interview was, when any negativity comes towards them, they close ranks and they lock the door. And I said that to you, Henry, in the interview.
Yeah, I remember that.
They do not want to deal with anything.
And the other thing is as well, which you've said, you've made the statement there tonight about solicitors. Ian, at this moment in time, we are reaching out to a law firm in America to try and get assistance. But Ian has reached out to 5 solicitor firms already, and one big law firm in the UK, and they are not even touching him.
I went to James and Jenkins, which is one of the biggest law firms in the UK, and they told me they will not deal with the CMS.
Yeah, I tell you what, I've got my case. I keep going my case, but the thing is, my case is very juicy because I have evidence that they have misconducted themselves in the public office, and there is willful neglect. I've gone to law firms, public law firms, who deal with public law, and they refuse to do anything against CMS, CSA.
And this is what people are up against. And it shouldn't be this way, because... By the way,
that is a breach of Article 13 of the European Convention of Human Rights.
They're reversing all the laws. All of a sudden, the burden of proof lies with the person who's paying. That should never be, right?
No. In the maximum law, is you're innocent until proven guilty. And in the Karunian and Gibbons case, back in 2012, the court found them to be in breach of Article 6 of the Human Rights Act and Article 6 of the European Convention of Human Rights, but also they breached the legal maxim of innocence until proven guilty. Because
one thing I say about them, when we were going back about them closing the door, is that I applied for an SAR, subject access request, via the CMS and the CSA. And I've done the CSA through the Department of Work and Pensions on both of them. The CMS provided me with it after the 9th attempt. I had a letter back from the Department of Work and Pensions saying they could not provide me with a subject access request as they hold no information on me for those dates, right? Which at that point, they couldn't prove they owed that. Then all of a sudden, mysteriously, on our last complaint, I received a subject access request that I said, well, no, because I've got this evidence. And I received a subject access request, and I believe that they've, and I know it's a strong term, but I believe they've counterfeited it because it absolutely matches nothing that has happened and that I've got proof on, So all of a sudden, they don't have it, and then all of a sudden, 6 months later, we find one. Where's that coming from? Like, you know?
Yeah, look, and it's the same we finding with everybody else. You know, everybody we're speaking to at the moment is a lot of people bullies worked with and told them to keep the evidence, and they've done a good job. And we can't hold them accountable. We know the law, but they seem to be above the law. And I've muted Bully at the moment because he's going to go on here about the law. So I'm muting him at the moment so we can look. It's actually quite sad because MPs are ignoring. We've all reached out to MPs, and
what I find frustrating about the MPs is they're quick to jump on the bandwagon of gingerbread, and all the mothers that are being hard done by the non-paying fathers and everything else. But for me, in my situation, it gets me thinking: how many of those fathers have actually paid? And that money's disappeared. Because bearing in mind, I was on the detachment of earnings order for 20 months and my arrears only reduced by £200. So where's all that money gone? Right? You know, I can't account for it because I've been paying it and we're talking thousands and thousands of pounds, but yet my arrears only came down by £200.
And the other thing is as well, which we've come down the avenue of, and this is where we are coming in now, Henry, is, and I know Bully's on it, and because he should be a lawyer. I'm trying to push him that way, but he's not having it at the moment. But we're looking at equality. The Equality Act we're breaching. They're discriminating, they're alienating. They're breaching their own code of conduct, own code of practice, or charter. It's unbelievable. And mental health is on the increase. Our economy is, as you know yourself,
with COVID, it's gone through the roof as well. I'm seeing it loads in work. We're turning out to people, who are committing suicide over being locked up, committing suicide over money because they've lost their jobs and everything else. All that on the rise. You can do without organisations like this that are pushing people over the edge. It's ridiculous what they're doing. It shouldn't be allowed and every single one of them should be held accountable. Every single, if I come close to really taking my life, right, and every single person who spoke to me on that phone should be held accountable for putting me in that position. And I feel really strongly about that, but it falls on deaf ears. I was lucky, I managed to get myself right because I spoke to the right people, and they dragged me out of a really dark place. Now I'm on a mission to make sure it doesn't happen to anybody else,
And Tony, if you remember in our interview, Henry, we done it in our interview. All right, I'm going to unmute Bully now if he behaves. All right, I can't unmute him now. Look, I don't know how to do it. Bully, I'm sorry, but I don't know. Yeah, there. Right. So if you in our last in the interview we done with him, I come across a report which was done by Mind in 2016, and they said 1 in 4 in 2016, 1 in 4 emergency workers contemplated suicide. That's how bad it was in the actual emergency services. They done another one then in 2020, which was done by King's College and a very other colleges, done a study on emergency workers during COVID in 2020. And what they actually said was they actually put their hands up and admitted it still is the same. There's a lack of support, lack of structure in there. However, for the support for the families, they haven't got no information because there's nothing being done. So the husband comes back from us. Let's just say, Tony, this could be something you've done. Tony does he does an 8-hour shift, Tony? 10 hour?
I do 2 12-hour shifts and 2 15-hour shifts.
So he does, in that 12 to 15 hours, he actually could, on an emergency, a fireman, or if his ambulance is even more, could actually go to many traumas of suicide, car crash, anything. So their well-being, mental well-being, the way they cope with it, and we've talked about this, Tone, is what the military guys do. We have the banter.
Yeah.
We have banter, and some of our banter is quite... It's dark.
Yeah, it is. And it has to be, because you have to like, I suppose, to the layman out there, the sort of general public, it looks like you've got a steel heart and you don't care. Yeah. But it's a coping mechanism, because all of this stuff, and I was only talking to one of my firefighters today who's due to retiring in a few years, the accumulative things that you see, the mental health side of it is accumulative. Each time you see something, it just adds to that bank, and it keeps adding and keeps adding. And then even something that isn't really that bad to what you normally see can push you over the edge, because it's just that one thing that flows over the box.
Trigger. That's PTSD.
And that's
that is PTSD, mate.
And we have loads of people off work at the moment with PTSD, all because of this. I mean, we're seeing some atrocious stuff. Like you guys, as you can imagine, we're peeling people off floors and, children, I don't even want to go into. I had a bad one around Christmas a couple of years ago, and all of this stuff. And that's still, is still in there. I can still see these incidents in my head, constantly. And then when you're dealing with that, and then dealing with the shit that the CMS give you, excuse my French, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
You don't need all of this crap there as well as that. And then you're coming home. I mean, the CMS nearly destroyed the relationship I'm in here with my current partner, because they were phoning constantly and everything else and badgering so much, even though I was on the detachment of earnings, that my partner picked our 2 children up and went back to London for 4 weeks. And I thought that was the end of my relationship again. And that was all because of them. I mean, at that time, they went out of their way to get my ex-wife, to try and get her to go through them as well, which you put the letters for there. And she quite openly admits for 14 years, she's had her payments on time and the correct amount every time. You've got both the letters there that she sent me.
Yeah.
But that created huge amounts of stress on top of everything else. The mental health for emergency services is huge. And when you've got an organisation like this that doesn't care, despite what they tell you, Henry, right? They do not care one iota. And when they can keep going on and on and on, and they know that they're pushing you that close, but they still persist, that is wrong, and these people should be held accountable. But they are...
That's a briefing article here, by the guys.
But they are in their iron cages. No one wants to touch them. As you've seen from many other people, solicitors don't want to know, MPs don't want to know, the citizens' advice can't help you because all they can do is advise. The Information Commissioner's offices don't want to know. The Department of Work and Pensions don't want to know.
Everyone closes ranks.
Neither does Boris Johnson.
You get stonewalled.
Look, I'm gonna share it. I'm gonna share the letter if you don't mind, Tone.
Yeah,
all right?
You blocked her address, though.
I blocked her address out. Yeah, all right. Don't worry, but I got the address. Don't you worry, I got the address.
We're back.
You can have it.
Can I?
Yeah, get down there.
Right. To whom it may concern, I'm writing to confirm the CMS contacted me to confirm I was receiving maintenance payments from Tony O'Neill, for my daughter Amber O'Neill. I was asked, this is what's really getting me. I was asked to consider claiming a higher amount of maintenance through them, which caused a conflict between myself and Mr. O'Neill. We have always agreed maintenance payments between ourselves, and this is something I was happy to continue doing. Yeah, I tell you what, mate. And I tell you what,
they only wanted contact details to confirm that they was paying for it, right? All they had to do was ask for that. They didn't need to go trying to get her on there and tell her she could get more money, when in fact she would have actually lost money, because when I showed her the calculator, she would have lost money. And if she had taken me down that road, I would have said, well, fine, you've taken me down here now. You're only getting that. You're getting more as it is, you know? And that's why we are now continuing on the family arrangement. I have paid her for longer now. My daughter's now 16. She turned 16. She'll be 17 now in November. And I have paid her since 8 months old, since when I left, when my daughter was 8 months old. And she has had her money month in, month out, without the assistance of the CMS. Never a problem. So, and vice versa, so was this one. They've had their money every single month. The CMS has created this issue because there was no issue. That money has always been there month in, month out. But because I work for the organisation, I am an easy target. They know I pay, and they know they can just help themselves to my pay slip and to my wages and take it out.
Clive, can cheers for that, Tony. Have you looked at the parliamentary thing what I sent to you?
I haven't, mate. I haven't got around to that yet. What is it?
Please look at that because this is very important.
When did you send it to me?
Just now on the private chat.
Oh, on the private chat. Okay, you didn't.
Yeah, have a look. It's the parliamentary one, the EDM.
Oh, the collective target.
Okay,
Hey?
give me 2 seconds.
Is that the collective?
While you're looking for that, can I mention something actually? Just I thought Tony hit it on the head there.
Yeah.
It's just there's no empathy. Obviously I've not dealt with them apart from through a press officer, but from hearing all the stories, I've heard quite a few of the interviews now with Uncle Fester and yourself, and it is heartbreaking, and it seems to come down to like there's no empathy. That they are a target-driven business, so empathy goes out the window.
They're on bonuses, without a doubt. They're on bonuses.
Maybe not bonuses. It might just be if you don't reach your target, you're going to get told off.
I have evidence that they were getting bonuses.
When you have any organisation that is funded by the clients, if you don't have them clients, that organisation can't run. So it makes sense that they have to pull those people in to be able to pay for the organisation to continue.
Yeah.
That is why they need 35%. If they don't hit the 35%, they've got to lay people off. They can't support the workload they've got anyway, because like I said, I've sent in so many letters, I've not had one response. Now, if they had to respond to all of these letters, or the phone calls or anything else, how much workforce would they need?
Tony, I'm going to share with you, and I don't know if it was on your podcast we done, when we looked at there's an administration charge of £20 for every person who actually goes to collect and pay. So that's £20. Over a year, they made 1.5 million. And
it's £50 now, Fester.
What?
It's £50 now, yeah. And also, if you look on my page that I sent you, there's an unpaid fee of £50 because they put me on a detachment.
Yes, there was. But the other thing is, the 20% they were making, 24%, they were actually making a year between 2018 and 2019, they made 39 million profit as a business.
All of the likes of me, we shouldn't be funding that. I am not one of these people who has refused to pay for their children. I have taken the responsibility and I have paid month in, month out. And that system is wrong. It should never have had somebody like me on that system. I understand if you are a parent who refuses to pay, I'm sorry, but that's when that system kick in.
That's when the system
is paying.
That's when the system should kick in, and that's when they should come for you.
Yeah,
we all agree with that.
I'm not saying what they're doing is wrong in one respect, because they do need to hold people accountable.
Yes,
right? I have no issue with that. What I have an issue with is when they are abusing their powers with people like me. They're picking up fraudulent monies and everything else, false accounting, just to make sure that I go onto a click and collect to take that 20%. Now, when you talk about an £800 payment or a £600 payment a month, that 20% is a lot of money every month. And that's over a year. You're talking a couple of grand a year.
160 quid. If it's 800, it's 160 quid. Times 12, man, it's 1,600.
Talking a couple of grand a year. It's a lot.
£1,940.
And you take that off, 35% of the people that are on this organisation, that are paying through the system. That's so much money. And like a lot of people are like me, Fester. A lot of people are paying. They've proven with bank statements. It's not like, I understand if you come on here and you just say, right, oh, well, I paid you. Well, it's up to you to prove I haven't. Fair enough, but when someone goes, look, there is the last 14 years worth of bank statements or 10 years, or whatever it is, and they turn around and say, well, bank statement's not a proof of payment. That is wrong,
Yeah. So this is what Buddy was on about.
Yeah, go on.
The Express on the 8th.
Yeah.
Those using COVID, and this is what you were just on about. Those using COVID-19 to cheat on their kids will be hunted down. Baroness Stedman Scott. All right? And
Clive, the thing is, Baroness Stedman Scott has been emailed by thousands of people.
And I've emailed her as well.
All about this. Sorry, say it again?
I've emailed her as well, many times.
Yeah, exactly. She knows what's really going on, but since we've been pumping this out, Clive, this is their kind of like thing to try and make us look a bunch of shysters, deadbeats who don't want to pay for our kids. But Scott,
right,
she's
Craig,
aware of what's going on.
But Craig, this is what I'm going to say to you. By the end of August, all right, don't forget COVID started, I believe, March. Yeah. By the end of August, over 3,000 CMS experts, if they were experts, they would know their client's charter, had returned to their posts, including the fraud investigation unit. So they've already admitted in this article that potentially this system has been failing because their team haven't been there, because they've actually been working with Universal Credit.
Yeah.
So
Clive, I want you. Do you know the? I want you to post like what you've just done before there with that article there. I want you to go back to the parliamentary one, what I sent to you.
Craigie, I'm going to wrap this up now, but
no, please, I need you, and really, this is so important. You need to see this one.
Child Support Agency operations, Daily Motion.
Yes.
Right, let's have a look at this one. Agency tabled 12th of June 1997.
It's one.
Is this the one?
That's the one.
Right. What do you want me to look at?
Read it. Read that. Read that there.
That this House deeply deplores the unfair inconsistencies long apparent in the operation of Child Support Agency. Notes, for instance, that fathers who have made maintenance arrangements for their former partners are being pursued by the CSA for much higher payments, far in the excess of their means. While, on the other hand, there are many women who have never received any maintenance payments at all because of the failure of the CSA to pursue their former partners with sufficient vigour. Believes that the CSA is currently concentrating its efforts on soft targets like Tony, Lee, and everybody else, rather than consistent enforcement of proper maintenance obligations, and urges the government to enhance the fairness and effectiveness of the operations of the CSA earliest opportunity. There was 99 supporters on that.
Yeah.
So that's back in 1997, and nothing's really changed today. So
nothing has changed at all. Nothing's
changed whatsoever. The only thing that's changed is the name above the door. All the same people are working for the department.
Like I said last night, same pig, but with lipstick on. It's the same.
So the biggest thing is, gents, all right, we're still in the same boat, Tom.
Clive, I need you also to do this one. Sorry, guys. Clive, I need you to do this one as well. because this is the web page that the CSA CMS had removed after I sent it to Gingerbread. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to resend it to you. This is all about the collect and pay.
Yeah, collect and pay targets.
When I made a complaint to Gingerbread, I sent that link because they were talking shit, and I sent that link, and a few days later, that from the voice of the child, that web page had gone missing. But luckily, we have the web archive.
But luckily, that's not. Right, I've got it. Right, here it comes. It's taking CMS collect and pay targets the lead. CMS collect and pay targets the leadership performance meetings. Voice of the children has obtained copies of minutes from the last 20 operational leaders meetings in relation to child maintenance groups. The failing incompetence director of CMG for the DWP. Okay.
What I can tell you this, Bess, was that when they talk about nearly hitting their target, they cheered. Now, if this was indeed a fact, a company that were promoting family arrangement, if you get anywhere close to it, say for argument's sake, the 35% was a target, to get anywhere close to that, that tells me that that organisation has failed. And if that organisation has failed, why the hell are they cheering? You know, this is where it's wrong. And they're aiming it because in these minutes, they turn around and say that it's a way of them paying for the system.
Read the comments. Read the comments as well, mate. Post the link. Clive, I'm going
to post the link because there's so much information in here.
Yeah.
I'm going to post our link on this. All right. That is absolutely. It's going in about budgets and all sorts, and they're saying we haven't got enough money for overtime for the staff, and you can see why they're going like they are. That is quite shocking. Henry, I'm going to post that so you can have a look at it. I need to look at that.
Yeah, Craig shared that with me already, actually. Yeah. So I was going to ask Craig about that. So it's just, I was just going to imagine if they decided to take Brees Media to court over something like that.
Yeah.
The minutes. That voice of the child.org UK doesn't actually have the minutes. They're not quoting the minutes. But has anyone got?
No, because I tell you what, Harry, they didn't have the minutes there because when I shared that link, the voice of the child, the actual webpage with Gingerbread, they've obviously gone to. I made a formal complaint to Gingerbread for pumping out about this 3.8 billion of fictitious arrears, which was proven in 2011 on the 15th of June, which is Magna Carta Day, actually. That the director, who was Noel Shanahan at the time, he told the committee that most of those arrears, of the 3.8 billion of arrears, was uncollectible because most of it had been created by interim assessments, inflated of up to 300%.
In which frighten people into paying.
Yeah.
Which?
Okay. Let me crack on, Clive, please. Henry, can you just refresh me here because I've gone off a tangent.
Yeah. Basically, I wasn't asking about that 3.8 million. Just about.
No, you weren't.
Reduce the minutes from anywhere because
yes, that's exactly what I was saying. When I made a complaint to Gingerbread because they come back and give me a load of shit, and they said that they had they used the information from CMS. Now CMS, as we know, are quite dishonest, and after I shared that link, a few days later, that webpage had disappeared. The content of that webpage is no longer available.
I see. Right. So it would have been attached to that page, those minutes at one point.
Yes, but the thing is, I do have the attachments because I downloaded the whole lot.
So,
Yeah.
so Craig, what I'm going to ask you is forward that to Henry. All right.
Yeah, we'll forward it again, yeah, because
Yeah.
I've had that many emails over this.
Yeah. So where we are, gents, is I think Henry, I think would you agree with me that, you know, as outsiders and looking in, that what we're seeing at the moment is despicable. It's bang out of.
And it's systemic as well. I mean, it's just like a conveyor belt of brutality, isn't it? It's horrible.
It's not systemic. It's systematic and systemic.
Yeah. So what we need to do, Henry, you have been, you know, you were in this, you know more about what goes on in these areas of the blackouts and everything, and I don't know how to go forward anymore, and I'm doing these videos, and sometimes I'm actually asking myself, is it worth going on? Because it's are we actually getting somewhere? Are people listening? Because I don't think what I'm finding is the public at the moment, we're raising things about veteran suicides, we're raising things about mental health, raising things about ambulance and emergency workers committing suicide as well, and it seems to be nobody in the public are really interested.
I think you have to
media blackout. It's the media blackout.
Craig, wait.
Sorry,
go on then.
Yeah, sorry, to keep chipping away, and I think eventually you get gain a bit of momentum, and Anna Brees' channel isn't like the legacy media, but her channel is growing. So if we can keep this sort of issue on her channel, then more and more legacy media journalists will pick it up, and then once it gets in national newspapers, then hopefully it can build some momentum. And also, even if it doesn't get to that stage, you're giving people a voice who never had a voice. So that alone is probably going to help save lives. So
because I work for Sodexo on COVID-19 on Heathrow, which is the biggest testing area. And I actually posted a few things on there, and I'm going with an investigation going on because there was allegations of discrimination and alienation of the way I was treated. So I just went, right, okay, I'm going to take this to the newspapers, because I was dealing every day. I was going out as an NTU manager. I had a gentleman from the Daily Mail, Jake. I don't know if you know Jake. He was there most of the day with me, and he had the long lens, and I actually went up to him and I said to him, I'm not talking about COVID-19 because it's not my place, but I will talk about veterans, and why are you doing a media blackout on veterans suicides? And he actually turned around and he looked at me and he went, oh, Clive, I can't really answer that. He said, that's not my bag. But I know it was his bag because we'd already sent emails to him and he was interested in it. And I had editors actually shutting it down. So I didn't.
I think one of the with a lot of media things is that they want to be seen getting stories from the government with things that's happening with COVID and like Brexit and everything else. And I suppose if they're going against what everything that's going on, they are going to be omitted from maybe media things and stuff like that. And
Tony,
so
it's not that. Tony, it's not that. There is, without a doubt, a media blackout with the CSA and CMS.
Oh, massive!
Veteran suicides. This stuff is not reported.
No.
So
and they never accept responsibility for it. Like I said, I'm not sure if it was Henry's interview or your guys. I went to an incident where a suicide. I had to cut somebody out of a tree, and in his pocket, he specifically blamed the CMS for it, and they deny all responsibility for that death, even though it's in his handwriting on a letter that I found and pulled out of his pocket. So I mean, how can an organisation turn around and say, "Well, it's not our fault," when the guy there is saying, "Well, I've done this because of you."
Tony, do you know something? I was in the Red Devils parachute team with a guy who left the team, and he became a policeman. and I saw him at the Red Devils reunion back in 2014, I think it was. And him and his wife, his wife, she was also a policewoman. And when we started talking about the CSA, because he actually had issues with the CSA, we started talking about it. And he and his wife had actually said that they had oh god, it's so hard. They had went to a guy who was hanging from a tree in Durham, and again he had the letter in his pocket saying that the CSA had pushed him to that. And then the thing is, you know, our emergency services who are attending incidents like that, seeing people hanging from trees, and seeing other
having those thoughts as well.
It's fucking horrendous.
Gents, and it is. Look, it is. I'm going to start closing it up now because we've gone over the hour and we did hour and 20. And this we could go on all night here because absolutely something's got to change, and that's shown not just by just the last couple of days we've done a lot of stories now on people's houses being taken, factitious arrears, no evidence of the arrears, and we've got serving personnel at this moment in time who are elite regiments, special forces, and they're more frightened of our government, they're telling us, than they are of the people they're actually trained to go and hunt, which is, and they want to talk out, but they can't, because if they talk out, then the government, which is the paymaster, will brutally. And that's what I was saying about yourself, Tone. I was worried about you at one point because of
me too.
You know.
Me too, man. And you're very brave for coming forward.
Thank you for coming forward.
I just, like I said, I just want to be, you know, when I spoke to Henry, you know, the CMS turned around and said certain points that, you know, at no point has it gone over £5,000, and this, that, and the other. I wanted to prove them, which is why I wanted this opportunity to be able to show those letters, you know, they sent you. Because, you know, I mean, I've got no reason to lie. Everything I've got is there factual, you know, so they've got, whether they want to just turn around and keep denying it, which is what they do, that's fine. But I've got the paperwork to back up everything I say. And that's just to show there that when I say it was over £5,000, it was over £5,000, not the £3,200 that they say it was. And again, it had never even been £3,200 because I've never missed a payment.
So I'm gonna close this. Henry, anything you want to put on over now?
Just that, you know, Tony's just done a fantastic, brave job standing up, A, to the CMS, and B, like sharing his story so he can help maybe other people not fall into the same trap, or know that, you know, people like Craig is out there to help, and you all acting together to help save lives in the future. So just keep doing it and plugging away.
What I will say before I go, guys, sorry, is for anybody out there who has just split with their partner who's got to pay maintenance, do yourself a favour, keep every single letter, every correspondence, every email, and store it in a folder because you're going to need it.
Okay, I'm gonna add this, Tony, and that is when you're paying your ex-partner through a bank, make sure that you actually label your payments as child support. And if you already have a child support case, make sure that you add your child support case reference number on the bank on the bank payment. Right,
yeah. Traceability again. Traceability. And on that note, what I'm gonna thank you very much for sharing it. Thank you very much for coming on, Henry, and what you've done by putting this up there for us. And but the biggest thing I'm going to say to the people who are watching this, all right, you're not alone. if you're struggling with them thoughts, them inner conversations we have in our head, you're not alone. If you're getting angry and you're feeling depressed, you're feeling you've got nowhere to turn, please, I can't say more than anything, reach out, speak to somebody, get hold of somebody. Don't be ashamed. Don't let your pride get in your way. All right, and don't be frightened to talk about money, because money is our survival today, and a lot of us usually turn it on ourselves and don't tell anybody what we're going through. But you're not alone, because I've contemplated suicide in the past. I know there's people on here who have, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. 1 in 4 well, it's going to be more than that now. A lot of people do it now, regular, like that. We need to start talking. We need to start sharing and caring about people, because the damage it causes when we lose somebody. Watch the video last night of Ian Briggs, the father of Gavin, who took his own life. All right, it's destroying. And I love you all. And I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to say good night. I'm going to let everybody else do what they want to do, and that's it. Bully, off to you. Do you want to? I've said good night, Bull. Do you want to? Good night.
Love you, man.
Yeah, good night. Good night.
Love you all.
So good night to you all.
We can all stay.